For those of you who do not know, I am Sadiq, and for those of you who do know, thank you for sticking around. I know, I have been on the longest hiatus I probably have ever been on since making videos on this channel, and let me briefly explain why. So basically, the reason I have been on the longest hiatus ever that the world has ever seen is because I always had a pretty good idea of the types of videos I would want to upload here, but for some reason I can never just solidify what the theme of this channel would be. Like, what was the purpose of it, you know? So after taking some time to myself and really trying to figure it out, I've learned that the theme of this channel overall is self-love, you know? And self-love, it's like an octagon. It comes in many forms and there's multiple sides to it. There's the physical well-being, there's the mental well-being, there's the emotional well-being, there's the spiritual well-being, you name it, you know? And I figured that something I do best is almost encouraging that in people, promoting that, you know? Telling people, put yourself first, telling people love yourself, telling people that you have worth simply because you decided. Not because you're waiting for someone else around you to say it, but because you have decided that you have worth. Anyways, let me digress back to the topic at hand. Before we get started, I just want to say follow me on Instagram at King Sadiq, where you can view my Instagram stories, and you can also weigh in on the next video topic. And also drop it down in the comments too. Anyways, a friend of mine gave me a very good idea for a video, being that my channel revolves around putting yourself first, loving yourself, you name it. She gave me a great topic. How do you put yourself first, even when it may come at the cost of ending relationships with others? May come at the cost of relationships with others. I love this topic. I love this topic, and I feel like there's so many sides of it. There's boundaries, there's knowing when enough is just enough, and there is, you know, it all goes back to that reflection on yourself. Now, the first thing I want to say is, if you putting yourself first comes at the cost of a relationship with another person, that means that you putting yourself first was long overdue. Long overdue. And this is not me blaming you. This is not me blaming a person who may be in this predicament. This is just me bringing awareness to the situation, so that way you can fix the problem and hopefully you don't run into it again, because you can't fix a problem that you don't acknowledge, you know? First, you must acknowledge how you may have played a role in it, so that way you know what not to do next time, or you know what to do next time, so that way you don't have this problem again. So when you put yourself first, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, why have I not been doing it? Why have you not? There could be many reasons to that. There could be logistical reasons, like you may live with somebody who's helping you out and you kind of have to obey their rules because you're under their roof. Or you could be in an abusive relationship, because some people are, you know? There's a lot of things that go into that. But the basis of it is remembering your own value and remembering that time is the one thing that you can never get back. Now, let me unpack this some more. So, when you put yourself first, the reason you have not been doing it is probably because deep down, somewhere on some level, there is a fear of not being liked. You have a fear of letting down those that you love. which is completely natural. Human beings are hardwired to make sure that everyone in their tribe loves them, you know? Everyone around them loves them. Because we're social creatures, humans are hardwired to want connection. But when it starts to come at a cost of your own peace and happiness, that's where we have a problem. So, what you want to do to put yourself first is always remind yourself that time is something that you can't get back. I know that's something I do, because I personally do not want to be 80 or 90 years old looking back on my life saying, oh, why didn't you do this? Oh my God, I could have done this, but I didn't. Or I had this thing that I really, really wanted to do, but I never did it because I was so worried about what other people around me would say. People who put themselves first truly do get everything they want in life. Even like something that people love to ask is, why do bad people get everything they want and good people get nothing? Now, this isn't true for every case. And of course, I would never condone being a bad person, and I would not endorse that at all. That's not what we do on this channel. But something bad people will do is they will always put themselves first. They will always do what they need to get where they want to go. And we do not want to be bad people. We want to continue to be the good, loving people we are. At least if you're watching this video, you're probably a good person who wants to improve their life. A lot of times when we're in a situation where we're not putting ourselves first, it's because we have been putting others' needs and others' happiness before ours for far too long. And that's why you probably have reached that point of frustration, that point of, I just can't take it anymore. That point of just wanting to lash out on someone and rip their skin off their body. So anyways, how do you put yourself first? You want to start small, because you always have to start small before you can progress into bigger things. That may look like something as small as, hey, I'm not answering any phone calls after 10 o'clock p.m. because I don't want to ruin my sleep schedule. That may look like you may be out at brunch with your friends and you're like, okay, you know what? You guys can have the alcohol, but I'm not going to have the alcohol because I'm trying to stay sober. And I've been really health conscious lately. You know, you have to start small, because if you can set boundaries with those small things, you will feel a lot more comfortable setting them when it comes to these big macro things. Now, how do you do it without disappointing people? Now, the first thing I want to say about that is the people who truly love you are not going to try to shame you for having boundaries, especially when it's to improve your own life. The people who love you are not going to shame you for it. And if they do, it's because they got some sort of benefit from you not having any boundaries at all. Because that's what those emotional vampires do. They suck all of your energy out of you. And then once they feel like they can't use you for anything else, or once they feel like they're not getting served in any way by you, they discard you. Pretty common in narcissistic abuse. We can do another video on that too. But yeah, that's the basis of it. So how do you set boundaries without disappointing people? One way you can do that is by mentioning these boundaries to your friends, your family members, your coworker, whoever it may be, your partner. Bring this up in a time of neutrality. Bring this up in a time where you wouldn't necessarily be letting anyone down. Don't wait until it's like a life or death situation, or like it's a really serious situation to them to say, oh no, I just can't do that. I'm not doing that. Because then you just come off like you're a bad person. Like I said, you're not a bad person for setting healthy boundaries. But our whole goal is to maintain relationships while also setting healthy boundaries. I know this video is about putting yourself first, even though it may have come at the cost of relationships, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. The whole point is to try to preserve those relationships as much as possible. So what you want to do is bring them up in a time of neutrality. Not when the person needs something. Just say you're having a casual conversation with a friend and you can just just slip it in there. Just casually bring up, oh, I've been going to bed. I've been trying to fix my sleep schedule, so I usually don't answer calls past that time. If you text me, I'll probably answer if I'm still up, but if you want to call, I'll get back to you in the morning on that. Or when you and your friends are about to go out, before the drinking even happens, say you want to not drink, you can say, when we get to the restaurant, I'm not going to have the martinis. I'm not going to have the cocktails. I'm not going to have the wine. You guys can have it, and I really hope you guys have a great time. More than likely, your friends are just going to say, oh, okay, I'm glad that you're trying to take a healthier route. Or they'll say, good, I'm glad that you're trying to get your priorities in order. They're going to respect you for it. And let's say it's something they did get disappointed about. The people who truly love you, they may feel a little upset that you couldn't do something in the moment, but they're going to have a lot more respect for you. Because the whole reason we don't assert our boundaries sometimes is because we're afraid that people are not going to like us. And we sometimes put their needs before our own because we think that's going to make them like us more. When really the inverse is actually true. They'll actually like you more and respect your time and energy more when you do that. Our energy is like a currency. That's really how you need to view it. You need to view it like you view swiping your credit card. You need to view your energy like you would counting up your cash and handing it to the cashier. Your energy is emotional currency, And you would not spend regular money at a place that wasn't serving you. You wouldn't spend money at a restaurant just to not get any food, right? You bet you're going to get that food. So our emotional currency is the exact same way. So what you want to do? Sorry. So what you want to do is really look at the situation. Pull back from it and look at it from just a place of logic. Say, 1, do I have the energy to do this thing that this person is asking? 2, what will this be taking from me? Whether it's emotional, whether it's literal money, or whether it's energetically. Say, does this go against my core values? Do I have the energy to do it? And 3, what kind of payback or payout am I getting from this? Now that sounds really transaction-y, but in some terms you do need to live your life as a transaction. Not in a selfish way, but just so you don't overspend your own energy. Let's take hanging out with a person that you may not want to hang out around. Ask yourself, when I'm with this person, do I leave feeling fulfilled? Do I leave with a smile on my face? Do I leave wanting to spend more time with them at a later date? Or do I leave feeling like I just need to go to my room, curl up in a ball under the blanket, and not see anybody for 3 weeks? Really ask yourself that and really look at the situation and reflect on it. And that will give you your answer. Now, what if I assert my boundaries, but this is making everybody leave my life? You asserting those boundaries, first of all, I just want to say I'm so proud of you for finally doing that. Because it was probably long overdue if you're sitting here watching this video. The way I like to look at boundaries is that it's like a filter. You are filtering out all the people who do not serve your greater good, and you are filtering out all the people who do not care for your well-being and people who do not want the best for you overall, So if you are asserting a small boundary, small or big, and then they say, you are the worst person alive, and they just give you that evil stare, you know what I mean? Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably scared of that happening. Well, I have news for you. Good. Wouldn't you rather know that now? Wouldn't you rather know who this person truly is? Because that person is showing their true colors if they're getting disrespectful or if they're trying to shame you for doing what is best for you. We want to weed all of these people out of our life as quick as we can, And that's the whole goal of this video. The people who have a problem with your boundaries. Somebody else I watch actually said this quote, and it always has stuck with me. The people who have a problem with your boundaries are the people who benefited from you having none at all. Remember that. If you take nothing else from this video, take that. The people who have a problem with your boundaries are the ones who benefit from you having none at all. Now, what if they do this? That is something that you want to know right off the bat. Because why would you want to keep somebody in your life and build a bond with them, emotional, mental, spiritual, maybe even, and then later on, after you have built a bond with someone, find out that they don't care about your greater good? Wouldn't you rather know this when you are just getting to meet them? Wouldn't you rather know this maybe when on the first date, if this is a romantic interest? I know I sure would. I sure would want to know what this person has in mind, what's their mindset like, what do they want out of this relationship with me, whether it's platonic or romantic, so that way I can know if they have a place in my life or not. And another thing to remember when it comes to being scared of disappointing others is that, like I said in the beginning of this video, something you can't get back is time. Do you want to be 85 years old sitting down saying, I never did this in my life, I never did that in my life, I never went after... Okay, let's say this is your parents. Let's say you can't or don't want to go after a certain goal because your parents are like, well, everybody else was a lawyer in this family, so you need to be a lawyer. Or everybody else was a doctor, so you need to be a doctor. Let's say you come from that type of family, or you have those types of influences around you. Really take a look at the bigger picture of it. 50 years down the line, 40, 50 years down the line, chances are if you're watching this video, you're probably in your 20s. 30, 40, 50 years down the line, do you want to look back on your life and say, I never got to pursue my passion? I never got to marry the person I wanted. I never got to... And we could do another video on that too, but I never got to go after anything that truly gave me fulfillment because I was afraid of disappointing those who loved me, who loved you. And that they may love you. The people who do this stuff to you, they may love you, but their idea of what you need may not always align with your idea of what you need, Nobody knows you except for you, truly. Nobody knows you on a core level except for you. So, the one thing you have to keep in mind is that you are responsible for your happiness. When you are going through a hard time in your life, everybody around you is most likely going to tell you that you're responsible for pulling yourself up out of a situation. Well, guess what? If I'm responsible for the bad, I'm also responsible for the happiness. So if everyone is telling you that you are responsible for getting yourself out of that financial hole, getting yourself out of that toxic relationship, or pulling yourself out of depression, whatever it may be, then guess what? You are responsible for your happiness too. So do you want to look back on your whole life and know that you have spent it pleasing others and doing things to make others happy, all at the expense of your own peace? One thing that I like to think is that when it comes to making others happy and letting others down to do something that is in service of us, I like to keep in mind that if somebody else is a little bit disappointed in you, chances are you're probably going to have to hear their voice for a few minutes at most. But guess who you have to sit with 24 hours a day? You. You have to sit with yourself 24/7. And what seems like a better exchange? Would you rather make somebody else happy, let them praise you for about 5 minutes, and then sit with yourself knowing that you couldn't do the thing that really fulfilled you? Or would you rather do that thing that may have let somebody else down for a few minutes, but you get to walk away from that situation knowing that you got a big service out of it, whether it's a financial service, emotional service, mental service, you name it. Something to think about in this video. Now, if this video was helpful for you, like, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at KingCD, and I'll see you in the next video.